If you do not have a 10 out of 10 face card or a PSL is your max, it's not over for you if you are completely chopped to the face. You can still frame max. Frame is law, and the reason frame is so important, in terms of height, face, and frame. Frame is very important, as in it really defines how physically appealing and attractive you are. Around last year, I realized that I didn't have the best looking face, I didn't have the best looking genetics, but I decided that I was going to lock in and physical max. You can still MOG even if you don't have a good looking face. You can physically MOG other people. If you max out your physique, if you become really athletic and in shape and you sort of move like an athlete, you can physically MOG other people. It doesn't mean go around getting into fights and things like that, but it means that to MOG is not just in terms of looks. You can do it also in other ways, in other areas, especially if you're a guy. Then being physical actually can elevate you to sort of that level where you're just so dominant at what you do. Kind of like how a lot of sports people, being really good at your craft gives them aura, like it gives them this sort of prestige that most people don't have, other than looking good. In order to physically MOG at the people, what's most important is the way your body looks and being in shape. Now, first of all, number one, you're going to want to be athletic and active, physically active, obviously. If you really want to take that to the next level, and to do that properly, you're going to need to maximize your frame. And your frame is one of the most important things that you do have, because the way that your body looks, and the way that you're shaped with proportions, is something that really can give people a really good impression of you before they even know you. Same with your face, you're just doing it with your body. You're kind of like how Rock Lee can't use chakra, but he can still get to that level. He can still hang with top tier people in his verse. You want to achieve an aesthetic looking physique. And most people don't actually do this, because what they do is they try to put as much muscle as possible. The average consensus about people when you say you go to the gym is just by getting on steroids and getting as big as possible, getting as much muscle as possible. That is not what we're trying to do. You can be physically dominant, we need to do that, but we also need to maximize appeal and aesthetic attractiveness. And that does not come by just putting on muscle. It comes from putting on muscle in the right areas at specific amounts to really make your body look proportionate and well balanced and make you look more appealing. And I've drawn up here a torso as to what a very good aesthetically pleasing physique would look like to most of the population. And so what are the qualities of this well-defined frame? Well, the top is wide. You notice it has a large shoulder to waist ratio. So the shoulders are wider than the waist, giving you that sort of V look. And this is what's called the 1.6 ratio, which means you want your shoulders to be 1.6 times larger or wider than your waist. And this is going to give you that classic V-shaped Dorito look that you see in a lot of superheroes and a lot of models, a lot of people who are attractive. Most women agree that this aesthetic looking physique is the most attractive by far. You want your shoulders as big as possible and your waist as small as possible. This is a shoulder dominant physique. As I saw more good looking physiques, I realized that some of them are actually lacking a sort of component, which is having bigger shoulders. So whatever your workout is right now, what I want you to do is actually add in about 5 to 8 extra sets of shoulders. Start doing more shoulders, kind of like raising the dumbbell like that, doing push-ups, more handstand, things like that. Shoulders are something that I've recently come onto, and I realized that that is going to make your physique just pop more. And it really gives it just this certain pizzazz that's missing from a lot of your back. We all know this, that back is the perhaps most attractive muscle that you can build for it. I know, you would think it's the chest, you would think it's any of the others, but women really love guys with a big back. And I don't mean like being like a hunchback of Notre Dame. I'm talking about training your back. Your back muscles, which are these things right here, around your lats. This muscle right here. And when you train your back muscles, from the front, you'll start to see them come out a bit. These muscles around the back, you start to see them come out a bit. When people do lat spreads, things like that, your back muscles start to show from the front. And it makes your upper chest area, like because your upper back muscles, appear more wider than they really are. Rather than the waist, of course, because it's the back. So this is going to, shoulders and back are going to really widen out your top frame. Now again, you don't want to be fat, obviously. You don't want, not trying to get big, which means that you're going to need a slimmer waist. And to look very balanced, then you don't want to look really wide. What to keep in mind is that all of this matters based on your height. So you do not want to look really, really wide and big if you're a short person. If you're a tall person, it's hard to put on muscle. I would say go all in on this. If you're short, be careful with this because you run the risk of sort of coming out with a Mario build. You got big arms, but you're kind of like a puny midget. Whereas a tall guy, and so he can more pull off the same physique. One of these guys looks more intimidating and is not the short guy. So again, you do not want this. This is not what you want. This is what you want. If you're short, I recommend you go for more of a, because the muscle has to be proportionate to your height. You're like 4 foot. If you're like 4. Don't do this. Do not put in too much muscle if you are too short. Now moving on to arms. Again, you want your arms like looking big. You usually can go for big biceps. Those are pretty easy. Specifically waist. Again, waist is not just for abs. You really want a slimmer waist, which means you want to train your like obliques and your muscles on the side right here. So you really look like thinner, which means you should be doing ab exercises and also starve maxing. So by fasting, again, remember, you might be worried that you're not putting enough weight. If you're a skinnier guy, you can put on some weight, but all in all, the frame is more so what matters. So these outside factors, shoulder, the back, things like that, are going to matter much more than just being as big as possible. Because getting big is going to help you get stronger, but you're not really aesthetic, are you? All of this I recommend being done by doing calisthenics. Calisthenics is actually pretty fantastic. There's sort of like a built-in safeguard as to make you look more aesthetic. What I mean by that is basically the reason gymnasts and athletes look so much better than regular bodybuilders and like people get big and burly is because calisthenics exercises actually target more than one muscle at a time. So if you're doing bench press, that's targeting just your chest, which is great for just isolating. But if you want to make the whole body look more balanced, then doing push-ups is going to hit chest, it's going to hit arms, and then doing pull-ups is actually going to hit core and arms and back. So you see why calisthenics is actually much better to do this and pull off, because your body's going to look more aesthetic because you're more balanced. You cannot put too much weight on one side because you're literally using your own body weight as resistance. Whatever you can do, now don't look freakish, but whatever you can do to get the waist slimmer and get the shoulders broader is going to make you look much more aesthetic in relation to your height. What you want is the shoulder to waist ratio. But if you're a shorter guy, you can go for a more leaner look. And speaking of lean, all of this needs to be done with like, you need to be around 10 to 12% body fat. That is when life really begins. Around 10 to 12 body fat percentage. 15, you cross the threshold into getting into lean city, all right? And all of this needs to be done. We're going to do this by summer. We're going to get in shape. We're going to be lean. And we're going to be blasting cool for the summer. This summer, 2026, you're going to be there. All of this is important for frame maxing. If you would like to learn how to actually build your physique to become really aesthetic and like see the rest of how you do it, then join the athletic lifestyle, live the athletic lifestyle today so you can be confident, look sexy, and feel amazing. It is in the description down below. Join the athletic lifestyle to become frame maxed and MOG physically other people. Stay flashy.